Okay. Hello and welcome to the Town of Litchfield Recreation Commission meeting. Tonight is Tuesday, August 9th, 2022. We are meeting live at the Town Hall Conference Room and the time now is 7:05 p.m. We'll do a roll calls of members present. My name is Steve Gannon. I am chair. Andy Ruggles, vice chair.
Present.
Secretary Judy Brennan.
Present.
Member Peter Ames.
Present.
Member Michael Bosky.
Here.
Member Chris Burns.
Present.
Selectmen's rep Stephen Weber.
Present.
And alternate member Jeff Town.
Here.
We have a full commission tonight. So Jeff, you know the regular, all discussions except for voting, right?
Yep.
Consideration of previous meeting minutes. We have actually one to review, which would have been the last meeting, July 12th, 2022. As a reminder, they are not being sent out in email. Please check your Google Drive for all documents. I did send a link out before the meeting so people could just refresh to find out where it is. All members were present, except for Mr. Jeff Town. Has everyone had a chance to review the meeting minutes for July 12th, 2022?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Any corrections, adjustments? Nope. All right. I will entertain a motion to accept the meeting minutes as written for July 12th, 2022.
So moved.
I have a second.
Second.
All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Nays? Abstained? Just one. You abstain, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 7, 0, 1. All right. Public input for those who are not already on the agenda. We have you three on the agenda tonight, and no one else except for Marquee is here. I don't think she has anything to say. No.
You good, Mac?
Okay. We'll move on. We'll close public input. Facility and field requests. As a reminder, please try to have the facility and field request certificate of insurance background check submitted to the Recreation Commission at least 3 weeks prior to the start of the event. 4 to 6 weeks in advance is preferred. This allows us to get everything set up in order as well as scheduled. So first up would be Mrs. Marissa.
Yep.
Please join us at the table. She is here. She is a Litchfield resident here representing Plex softball, looking to use Roy Memorial Park, right? Roy?
Yep.
Sunday, September 18th, 2022, 7 a.m. for 3 p.m. It is a for-profit. Approximately 1 to 49% are residents. Have you ever worked with us before?
So I was on the Litchfield Rec Commission for years, a
Okay.
long time ago. And I was a coach for Litchfield Blast
Okay.
for quite some time too. So my daughter actually plays for Plex now. She's at the 14U level though. So it's not a team that Litchfield fields.
Okay. What is Plex? Is it an organization?
So it's the Bedford Sportsplex. So it's
Okay.
right over the bridge. So they have an indoor facility, but they don't have any outdoor fields. And we just wanted to use the park for one day to have a round robin scrimmage with some other 14U teams in the area. Actually, maybe one Rhode Island team, but we haven't decided yet.
Okay. So typically, we require a certificate of insurance that must specify that the town of Litchfield is covered. This one's a bit different because it is a for-profit, but also if you are going to be around youth, New Hampshire requires a background check as well.
Mm-hmm. So the event itself is not for profit. So we're not charging admission to come and play. Like we're going to pay the umpires, but that's it. So I wasn't sure how you wanted me to answer that question. So Sportsplex itself is not a 501c3. They're a for-profit organization,
Right.
but the event that we're running is not a fundraiser in any way. It's just everybody's going to come and hang out and play softball.
Okay.
Who's running the event?
We're hosting technically, yes.
Who?
Our team. So the 14U Red Sportsplex team. is
Okay.
hosting.
Okay.
But so typically when a tournament happens, there's a fee. It's like, $750 per team registration. We won't be charging that because it's not a tournament. So we don't have any expenses to cover other than the umpires. So we'll pay the umpires. Each team will pitch in and pay at the plate, like has been the trend lately. And other than that, everybody's going to bring their own lunches, and
Okay.
so we're not selling food or we're not raising any funds.
Okay, so this is a really big gray area that we're battling right now.
We've
One
been
is
battling
because-
it for a long time.
Yes. The Sportsplex is a for-profit company.
As far as I know, yes.
You're kind of associated with them,
Right.
so you'd be covered by their insurance, hopefully.
Correct. I have a copy of their binder.
Okay. But you're not really for-profit because you've already paid them and they're not paying to use the fields. It's definitely a gray area. What is the thought of the
So the
commission?
only conflict I see is Litchfield's girls softball is in session at that time, and we will be playing on Sunday mornings. The schedule isn't out yet, so there's a good possibility that our eights and tens could be in another town playing that day.
Right.
So we probably won't know the scheduling of fall softball for another 2 weeks.
So the 8 field, so we wouldn't need the 8 field. We just need Bliss and Jewett.
So the way we call them now, because nobody could ever figure out, the front one near the parking lot's 12, the one down in the corner
Is 10.
is 10, and then the one way back that got moved was
It's
the
8.
original field, that's the 8.
Right.
The 10 will definitely be used if we need it. We do sometimes push our 8s back to the 8 field.
Yeah.
But it's in the worst shape of them all right now.
Right. Well, that was one of my other points. Like having teams on those fields is great for
It's
the
best
fields.
for, yeah.
It helps keep the weeds down and everything else. So
Yeah, so it's good. So that's the only thing I have from a girls softball standpoint. We don't have the schedule out yet. And we do cross town in the fall.
right.
So we all
A
could
fall
be,
ball.
we could be in Pelham, we could be in
Yeah.
Nashua, we could be somewhere else that day.
Yeah.
And we could try to work the schedule so that it's open, that we're away that day.
Could we request that? That's what I was going to ask.
So this is more like an informal round robin
Yeah,
play
right.
kind of thing,
yeah.
and there's some Litchfield kids on the Plex team.
So this leads back to our discussion last week or 2 weeks ago, where
sure.
we were talking about for-profit companies using our field. And it doesn't matter if the event itself is a non-fundraiser or whatever. When you practice, you're not raising funds. So, the question is, are we going to let nonprofits come in or profit like other AU teams because they have Litchfield people, if be it or not, come in and request the fields to use the fields for practices, even if they're not using them for games. Just because it's an event doesn't separate it from being a for-profit team. Like the Plex team is a for-profit program. It's not a non-profit organization running a league.
Yeah, but they're not generating revenue off this event. So I think that takes care of most of the things we were discussing. I think that they would be further down in the ranking if there's a conflict.
Right.
Yeah, in the pecking order. So if there's a conflict.
So if they came and asked us to run practices there every week, what would we say?
I think we'd probably be supportive of it unless there was a conflict within another Litchfield team that was nonprofit. That's where I think we'd have to have a discussion. But if they're not generating for-profit revenue off of it, I don't think it's
So I have a question, just out of curiosity, because I know there's precedent here. Legendary Fusion, I believe, used to use Roy Memorial Park pretty consistently for practices. Do you know how that occurred?
Honestly, I've never even realized that they use the
Yeah.
park
Yeah.
for practice.
The
So-
Grand State Rockets basketball team used Talent Hall. They were girls from Hudson, Litchfield, Nashua,
How long
maybe
ago?
Pelham. Might have been when you were on the board in the 2000s. Anyway, but
That was
they
a
were
long time
charged.
ago.
And Pop Warner football cheerleaders
Right.
were
If there was
charged.
like a consistency
even though they
to
were
it, like
Litchfield kids.
like a
Yeah, they
practice
were they
schedule.
were charged, even though Pop Warner is a nonprofit, the board still charged the cheerleaders to use the town facilities, and we're trying to kind of get a handle on all
Yeah,
of
black
that.
and white's tricky.
And it took going through
Yeah.
notes and what it's been done in the past, but
Right.
there's nothing consistent.
Because as you said, it is setting the precedence, and there's already been one set.
Yeah.
Something that's happened 20 years ago, we could, back away from that. But what we're trying to do is control what's happening now,
Well,
and figure out what we have to do moving forward. And are we covered? What's the requirements? We've already been advised by legal counsel not to charge, because then it puts the Litchfield Rec into another organization,
Mhm.
and it's for profit, and they pretty much advise us not to do that. Now we're struggling with, do we allow external organizations that are truly for profit to take advantage of our fields? And then basically what happens is the town people are paying to maintain these fields. So there's a conflict. We do have a priority set that our local youth orgs, the schools, et cetera, it goes down through. We have to change our bylaws to address for profit using the fields, and then what priority they will be in, which would be obviously at the very bottom, because all of our nonprofit orgs would be higher level.
I guess my
So-
thing with it though is, yeah, the town is paying to maintain these fields, but they're being maintained whether they're occupied or not, right? So if they're just sitting there unoccupied and somebody else from out of town wants to come use them, I don't have a problem with that personally, especially when there's kids on the team from Litchfield. I mean, it kind of makes sense to me that they would be.
How big is a team, and how many? Knowing the kids are from Litchfield definitely helps persuade us to go towards that.
Well, that's not going to help then.
Oh,
So it's actually, so her team, obviously, right now we sit at 12, and there's one, she's from Litchfield. And I got one from Bedford. I got 2 from Goffstown. I've got 1 from Warner. I've got 1 from Merrimack, 3 from Londonderry. Like, they really are from all over the place.
It's like the central locating spot, centrally located spot to all that.
Well, it's just
It's also
so
the complex we have too,
Oh,
especially
it's-
for softball.
oh, it's
perfect
gorgeous.
for-
Yeah, parking. Yeah,
the pavilion, like to be able
Yeah.
to have lunch with the picnic tables, like I said, I mean, we were just looking for, to have a place to play softball for the day, and I was like, oh, I know, it'll be perfect. Litchfield's the best. And I was like, oh, there's all these rules. Hold on.
With that amount of people, would there be an issue with the restrooms, only having one porta potty there?
We've been to enough tournaments with only one porta potty. I mean, I won't tell you what happened in Maine 3 weeks ago. We try not to talk about that, actually.
Well, the Barrington ones got pretty bad too.
We were in upstate Vermont. We played on Lake Champlain 2 weekends ago, our last weekend. And they had this beautiful building, old stone building right on the shores of the Champlain. It had the bathrooms in it. Oldest plumbing I've ever seen in my entire life. No porta potties on site. And with 2 hours into the tournament with 12 teams there, the signs went on the door. Problem with
Closed.
plumbing. Fire department's on their way.
Oh boy.
So it was little tiny St. Albans, Vermont, and the fire department was there. They hosed the whole place out. Some Joe Schmo came in on Sunday that owns the local porta potty business and dropped off toilets in the interim, and it was pretty impressive. They had it up and running again in like a couple hours, but it was a long couple hours. We stay very well hydrated. It was hot. But yeah, so I mean, between Talent Hall maybe, but then I don't want to open up Talent Hall. One porta potty's fine. All right, maybe 2. I'll order a porta potty.
Have you looked at other towns? I'm just curious as to what they said. I know Londonderry, you have Londonderry players, but Londonderry will not allow.
Right, and Laugh
Profits at
is
all.
used every weekend. Like it's
Yeah.
like pretty solid booked,
It's heavily used complex.
very much so. And then
I don't know. if that's
Goffstown doesn't have
policy.
anything like this. Merrimack doesn't have a complex. They have scattered fields. And where it's only 4 teams, and it's literally like team 1, team 2, team 3 and 4 are going to play at the same time, and then they're going to switch, and then we're going to take a lunch break, and then you play the team that you haven't played after lunch, and it's like in and out. So you don't have time to travel between fields and stuff.
Yeah.
It's not.
I think it would be crazy to have a bunch of kids who want to play softball playing video games and the field's sitting empty. That's just.
As long as they're empty, because like Steve
Right.
said,
Yeah.
I mean, if they have a conflict, but you'll know in a couple weeks,
We'll
right?
know within 2 weeks, yeah, from a scheduling standpoint, but I'm part of the scheduling of it, so, yeah, if I wanted to, we could just say, the 18th, we'll play in away that day.
Right. And it's a Sunday.
That's when we do we don't like to come.
So you do
we have
fall ball
conflict
on
with
Sundays
soccer,
now.
So
Yeah.
we put everything on Sunday, so the softball kids can play and we don't have to worry about
Nice
kids running off
job.
the
I was waiting for the master schedule plan because they have lacrosse happens in the spring and the same thing happens with soccer. I'm like, why don't you guys just
And from a baseball standpoint, that's what we do also. We
It's
start
the
all our
same
games
thing.
after soccer in the morning on a Saturday.
perfect?
Just trying to make it coexist so everybody can do
Well,
it.
when you have a small pool you're pulling
Yeah,
from, you
you have to.
gotta make it work,
It'd be flexible, so.
or you're gonna have 3 kids.
And it's funny because the majority of the towns want to do the same thing on Sundays, just to stay away from the soccer schedule.
Well, I guess I'll make a motion to allow Plex softball to use Roy Memorial Park Fields 1 and 2 Sunday 9/18/22 from 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. Pending, softball, the rec softball league schedule coming out.
Second.
Okay, any further discussion?
So I just add, we're going to talk about it a little bit later about the for-profit fee schedule. So I want to make sure we're just not confusing issues. What we've got here is, they're not generating revenue and we are not charging a fee, right? Where we get to the other issues is when we decide that we're going to charge a fee on for-profit organizations. As of right now, I think based on our conversation last meeting, it's really just the pecking order that if we're not charging a fee, then they're just like any other organization requesting to use the fields and we don't get into the insurance liability issues. And so we would just approve based on how comfortable we are with the conflicts. And I think, as the motion was stated, I'm very comfortable with that, and I think reflects the conversation we had last time.
Now, kind of a tricky one here too, but what happens if a town organization, say police, is like, oh, you know what? We decided we want to have a police and fire softball game that weekend, but they tell us 2 weeks from now, or before our next meeting, or, in between now and then, what happens in that situation? It's like, oh, well, sorry, you can't use it now. It's just tough. Like there's so many variables to it.
And along that lines, we're setting the precedence. When do we tap the brakes? When do we say no? When do we start saying no? Do we start saying no? I understand that the fields are not being used, so they should be used. But when they're being used, they're also getting abused if they're not being treated, and it could cost us more in the long run. I'm just playing devil advocate because I know I'm going to be catched. So I'm just trying to look at it the other side. If we start opening the fields up for profit companies, when do we draw the line? Is there a line to be drawn?
I mean, I think we maintain the discretion to go case by case, decide, okay, this organization is going to rip up the fields or they're bringing in equipment that we're not comfortable with. We're going to say no to that one based on that. This one actually helps the fields, right? So, and so that I think is different, right? And so I think we can take it case by case.
Yep.
And same thing to your question about like what happens if a in-town nonprofit, all Litchfield residents wants to use it at that time. I think we'd have to say, okay, we need to talk about that as a group. Do we feel we've made a commitment to another organization? We're going to stand by that, or is it more compelling to provide access to a bigger, Litchfield group? I don't think the bylaws, state what we have to do. I think we have discretion, and that's just
Yeah, I
our
guess we
work
have that
to-
same problem. Like if we have that hierarchy now, right? I mean, it could have happened.
Yeah.
Sure.
It's never come up.
Right.
Right.
But
So I guess my other one is how about lining fields, bases, and all the other
Oh, I'm
stuff.
glad you asked. So I have a couple questions. So I was going to reach out to Litchfield girls softball and ask if the only thing I think I need is, I mean, I guess I don't need them, but the rakes that are in the shed and the striper, I'll buy the lime.
Mhm.
And then I'll have my guys will take care of the fields that day. But I just don't have that little pushy machine. So I don't know if the
you don't
shed-
have one of those at your house.
I'll go get one if I need to. If I have to get a porta potty, I'll get a striper. But
So we have a board meeting, Tuesday night? And we can talk to the board Tuesday night about that.
listen, I'm the one that travels with a leaf blower to blow off the baselines because I want to play. They laugh at me and my wagon and my leaf blower, and I'm like, fix the fields. We got to play. But so I'll bring in the lime. I needed the striper, and then I'm going to set up trash cans with trash can liners, and we'll do carry in and carry out trash too, because
Well, we have barrels out there anyways.
Yeah,
Mhm.
there's
There's
barrels.
barrels and a
but they're not
dumpster.
lined
They're not
usually.
lined. You
Okay,
could
I'll line them.
And then the
And I'll-
dumpster's right there.
Okay, we'll clean that all up. And then,
If it's unlocked.
so the 2 fields in the pavilion.
I mean, I'm more inclined for something like a one-time nonprofit event. It's not like they're asking to have 2 weekly practices for the
Reoccurring,
team.
yes.
Exactly.
But it sounds like it's more of a fun get together.
Yeah.
With
We might,
girls on different teams
barbecue.
being able to be outside instead of inside in the fall.
oh yeah, the
Um,
fall is gorgeous. So one of my questions was, so our insurance binder expires on September 1st. So it didn't make much sense for me to call them and be like, hey, can you put Litchfield on here, and then have to get another one after September 1st. So I'll have you guys added. That's easily done. I can do that in a day. The youth camp thing though. So I read up about it.
It's confusing.
It is very
So
difficult.
basically you pay $25, you send in a form and you get put on a list.
Right.
That's
So,
it. And all you're saying is we have a background check policy.
but we don't even qualify for the DHHS definition of a youth skill camp, because it said it's actually defined as a logical progression of increasing difficulty over a period of 3 or more consecutive days. We're a 1-day event.
Yep.
So we still have to have, do you guys do ASA? So
So what
that's
we're
fine.
trying
I'll
to do in
call
that
them and
aspect,
tell
because
them.
that is also another one of those gray areas where
We
people
all
are like,
talk about
I've
why,
had this-
why are we even
I've had
doing
this
this?
same
It's like the village
conversation.
pays the $25
I can-
and we turn it in.
The
Tell
reason we
you.
do it is we do not have any sort of way to track
Right.
whether organizations have a background check policy or not.
Right. So in order to be an ASA coach, which is what we all are, we have to all carry a ASA
It-
coach's
it's-
card.
It's not the individual insurance, it's the organizational background check policy that we need to know exists.
Okay.
And we do that by sending it through that state program to verify or to back us up in the case anything may happen.
So does the hosting organization need that, or does every team that I bring in?
No, it's the requesting organization that,
Okay.
Just has to be listed.
So it's just us.
And I personally don't think the state does anything when you send it in other than take you $25.
Right. Because
That's a good question.
we're all safe sport. I mean, in order to get certified, I have to
Oh, I know.
go through safe
Yeah.
sport first, and then I can get ACE certified on top. Well, you guys all know, you
We
probably all
yeah,
had to
we
do it.
And then there's no crossover sport to sports.
Right,
You're
which
doing
is
it for multiple
ridiculous.
Sports. It's crazy. Absolutely crazy.
We need a database. Anyway, all right. So I'll fill that out and write a $25 check, I guess. Do you know the form? Is that on
It's
that same
online.
website?
It's the
online. You
same
can
one I
download
gave
it.
you.
Just-
Yeah.
They were supposed to make it online, but they never did. So if you ask for it online, they'll send you a PDF and tell you to fill it out and mail it in.
Okay. And if I scan it to you and send it along with the insurance,
So yep.
that's
Yeah.
fine. Okay.
Yeah, before
Perfect.
the date, that'd be great.
Yeah, because it takes them a long time to update their website.
Right. So I'll scan it.
So I understand the gray area with charging the fee for each organization, but is there potentially a workaround where, say, we open a snack shack and softball gets the money from the snack shack?
Thought about
for
that.
that?
You make a lot of money on food. You make a
Yeah,
lot of money on
that's-
food.
Well,
Not
we
for
get
this
people to
one.
Run it.
I have a plan for this one, but in the future.
So no, that's a way we could make a little bit of profit off it, because
At least something comes back.
some of
to
the
town.
It's
arguments
coming
will
back
be
to the community.
And
why
you still have to find volunteers to run the snack shack too. So it's double-edged sword. Sometimes that doesn't work out.
what I heard from some people is, why are we letting people use our fields in the town spending $80,000 a year? But if we could say, well, the snack shack's collecting a little bit of funds, it's going in softball, it's going to baseball, it's going, that helps offset the cost. People have come up to me and said, I don't know why we should be letting other people use the fields. And I hear the same arguments. Well, they're not being used. Let the kids play. But then it's, well, who's paying for it? And it's like, oh, here we go.
And then the flip side you always hear as well. What happens if a family comes down and they want to do a pickup wiffle ball game? So you always get the flip side of it. No matter what, you're not going to make everybody happy. Or somebody wants to come down, and have a soccer match out in the grass area. Next thing you know, softballs are flying.
We used to block off some field time though on Sundays to leave it
Like open
open
field.
so people could show up and just from town who wanted to throw together a neighborhood softball game or soccer game or something like that was blocked off and for public use only. like 2 or
All
3
right.
hours once a week.
So yeah, if you get that information, send it to rc@litchfieldnh.gov. And that'll go to the whole Recreation Commission. Judy's the secretary, so Judy will take it and file everything.
And what was the decision on the porta potty?
It's up to you.
Well, we still need
Yeah,
to.
that's your call. Like the point when like it's your if you want to provide an extra porta potty, then
Right.
I mean if you order it, then you mean honestly, do we have it set up outside the fence
Not yet.
to make everything easy or no?
Not yet.
No, I mean the one that's coming in.
Oh, I would say yes.
Yeah.
Unless it's from the same company.
But yeah, that's
So there's not even one on site right
There's
now?
one on
one.
site.
There is one.
There's
Down
one on
back by the,
site.
by
There
the
will be
playground.
one on site.
Okay.
But if you want an extra,
All right.
it's on you.
I'll make a phone call to a friend and see what they have to say for a recommendation.
Is that the new guy in town?
No.
The new guy in town that's running a porta potty that we will be having discussions with when our contract's over.
Excellent. Yeah, no, we have a client that does
Okay.
porta potties, so I'll talk to him.
All right. Is there any other conversation on this topic? All right. So we have a motion seconded by Peter. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Nays? Abstained? So 6-1-0, the motion passes. If you can get that information to Judy, that would be great. If you get a porta potty, that would be helpful. As well as the trash liners and cleaning out.
Trash, yeah,
et
in
cetera.
line. Yeah, cool. Awesome. Thank you, everybody, very
Thank you.
much. Can't wait to play ball.
All right. Second up is Spirit of Litchfield requesting to use Royal Memorial Park 10-1 at 8 a.m. to 9 p.m. for a fall festival. We did discuss this at the last meeting, but apparently we did not vote on it.
They didn't have the form in. They had sent an email
Okay.
asking.
you
and they
talk to
sent
them?
the form.
About
I emailed Janice. I spoke with Heather last night.
Yeah.
I'll email them again to find out. I sent her the
The
Alex
twins.
and
The brother and sister.
brother
Yeah.
and sister's email because I really would like them to get involved. They want to do it for their senior project.
Yeah, if not, they'll need a separate event for their own.
Yeah, maybe I'll stop by and see Heather tomorrow and see what you could do, or Alex. Maybe Steve's wife can call Alex and get her involved. Okay, so I guess they're covered under us because they are a subcommittee. The field's not being used that day. I think we already established. Saturday. Yeah, it's so we're just going to make a motion. I'll entertain a motion to allow Spirit of Litchfield to use Royal Memorial Park October 1st, 2022 from 8 a.m. to 9 p.m. for a fall festival.
So moved.
Second. All those in, any further discussion? Or any discussion?
Talent Hall, I presume.
Yeah, we'll probably open up Talent Hall for them, just like the last event. They usually typically bring in food trucks if that's what they're going to do, or entertainment, or etc.
Okay.
Any other discussion? Okay, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Nays, abstained. Motion carries 7-0-0. LMS Soccer, Roy Memorial Park. This is from Dan Duforney, Physical Ed and Athletic Director at LMS, looking to use the fields 1, 2, and 3. It's got a couple of dates, Monday through Friday, 8:22 to 8:26, 7:30 a.m. to 11:30 a.m. Monday through Friday, 8:29 to 11:01, 2:30 to 5 p.m. We do not have anything on the calendar at this time. I believe this is a reoccurrence of previous years. They are a school, so I don't believe we need a certificate of insurance, right? No, actually, we would. Right? Would we need a COI?
I don't think we have any from the schools.
I've
When
never
I-
seen
I
it.
know when
We
baseball
should.
wanted to use GMS field for when we had the Babe Ruth program, we had to give them a COI.
We probably should.
Yeah, I'm sure they have it. They can just send you a copy.
Yeah, separate organizations.
They won't need a background check because they are school teachers. Is anybody aware of any conflicts during that time? When does soccer usually start up? Is that
We don't usually
Well,
use.
it's that first week that he requested that in the mornings. That's when soccer starts for them.
and how about for our soccer, our kids' soccer? Nothing.
Well, it's starting, but they're requesting
Oh,
Darrah.
right.
They're not
Yeah,
requesting
that's true. Sawmill.
Sawmill.
I'll just have to let the groundskeepers know because, I mean, that's the whole week in the morning. They may be doing stuff.
And then it sounds like the other time is after school. Well, school's not even in yet. Oh no, school would be in 8:29 through 11:11,
Right.
2:30 to 5:30, or to 5. Is that a conflict?
It could be for softball practice.
You start before 5?
No,
No.
5 is usually.
Five,
I think there were times last year they were just finishing up when we were starting.
Yeah.
Because we'd heckle a few of them.
Yeah, I think that's what happened last time. They would,
I think
They-
they were
they
leading
adjusted.
as we were starting, yeah.
yeah.
I think in the bylaws they actually get first
Priority.
priority, if I'm not mistaken.
School does
School?
over rec?
Really?
Yeah.
Versus
Oh, I thought
over
the
the
rec
priority
did
in
first.
Litchfield?
I think so. I mean, I haven't looked in a while, but I think it does.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, I
Look, I
thought
don't have my
schools were
binder
ahead.
here, but I believe our rec sports were first. Because schools typically have their own
Fields.
fields, and then it was school, and then. Yeah, because I looked at it not too long ago when we started talking about this for-profit stuff, and I thought that rec was first, but.
But I don't think it'll be an issue if they're off by 5.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay. Any further discussion? I'll reach out, let them know if it's approved. They need the COI, so it's contingent on COI. And we'll let them know that you guys may be on the field starting about 5, so they may have to adjust the time a little bit.
The schools are below the rec teams.
Right.
Did you find it? Yeah. Okay. Yes. All right. I'll entertain a motion to allow LMS soccer use Roy Memorial Parks Field 1, 2, and 3 from 8:22 to 8:26, 8:29 through 11:01 for the times mentioned, contingent on the COI and possible adjustment of time.
So moved. Oh, go ahead, Peter. You do this one. I'll second this one.
So moved.
Second.
Any other discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Nays, abstained, motion carries 7-0-0. All right, Mr. Mike Small,
Yes.
come on up, sir. Mike is here from Pastor Mike Small from the Tabernacle Christian School. The TCS Falcons looking to use Sawmill Brook Fields 1 and 2 for practices 3 to 5 p.m. Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, 8:22 through 10:18. Games from 3 to 5 p.m. on Tuesday 9/8, Thursday 9/13, Friday 9/16, Tuesday 10/4, Thursday 10/6, and then a tournament on 10/20 and 10/21 from 12:30 to 5 p.m. Once again, I don't see the calendar. The calendar is empty, but our orgs have not submitted their times yet. Sawmill Brook, Mike, is this a conflict?
I wanted to just make sure the tournament dates were weekdays when I looked at it. Okay,
Yeah, we did that intentionally to
Okay.
avoid any conflict
okay,
because we've not been able to host it because of the fact that we've never been able to really schedule on Saturday, which is understandable.
okay.
A lot
I just
going
wanted
on.
to make sure.
Yeah, it's Thursday and Friday.
Okay.
Yeah.
Typically, you guys work well together.
Yeah, no, I mean, always work together and get everything scheduled. It's not a problem. You know, I mean, again, some teams may have practice, but there's plenty of room to get when they're there. If there's a game it's usually the games that go later, but if there's a game, then they can start somewhere else on the field.
Yeah. Normally we try to leave by 4:45 for practices. We try to be back to the school campus by 5. But yeah, sometimes the games start at 3:30 if it goes late.
Right.
But usually we're off by 5 or so.
Yeah, it's not an issue.
Okay, cool. Thank you, sir.
The only issue is me remembering to email him early enough when it's raining.
So we probably still need a COI.
No, he sent
Yeah.
he sent the COI, yeah.
Yep.
And because of its school, we do not need background checks. Correct?
Correct.
All right. Any further discussion on this topic? All right, anything you'd like to add?
No,
Sure.
thank you for letting us
Yeah.
use the field. We certainly appreciate it over the years. We would like to see if there's a way in which we could buy some nets or maybe offer to donate for some field paint. If there's anything that I don't know exactly who we would send the money to or whatever. Okay.
Personal checking. No,
Right into
I'll ask the board. We have a meeting next Monday, so I can send you something after that.
Yeah.
I mean, field paint, as you know, field paint is up. Everything's up.
Right.
But I don't know honestly, the biggest thing we might need is, and I don't know where the landscaper is in terms of what parts of our contract cover field repairs. But, there's a couple spots that are bad right now.
You talking that like that perimeter fence? And stuff
No,
like
I'm
that?
talking on the field. Like if you looked at the current 11v11 field, each box is just ripped up.
I haven't been down there.
Yeah, I haven't either, but in a little bit. But
They
my
do a
son-
slice seed in the fall though. Right?
Yeah, but
Is it?
it needs some extra care. Like the slicing in the fall's good if you have a while to do it, but it doesn't seem to get ready for the spring. We're moving the fields tomorrow. We're gonna back to the same place you guys used last year, that far end.
Okay.
But the field up front, which is the field that been
Always
using
has
all
the
spring and now in the summer for the men's league, has been beaten up, and that was after trying to stay off pieces of it, during practice and stuff because it was just getting worn out. But
A lot of the fields are in rough shape right now.
Yeah, it's tough.
Any
I don't
further-
know. I don't know how.
I'll email you next week when
Okay.
I have an idea what they would prefer, what the board would prefer, like investing in a little bit more.
All right. We have a motion that was seconded by Mr. Ruggles. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Nays, abstain. Motion carries 7-0-0. Mike is your man to work with.
Okay, great. Thank
And
you.
you have confidence you guys will get it all scheduled out.
Have a good night, everyone.
You as well, sir.
Mercy, you don't have to hang out either unless you want to. You're more than welcome.
It's like days of old for her.
Yeah.
You want back?
No, we
Oh,
have
no,
alternates.
No,
We
we got
got
a couple
roles with
alternates
3 alternates. All right. So that is it for facilities and field requests. We'll move on to new business. First up is Mrs. Joan McKibben from the Conservation Committee. She's here to talk about the Darrah Pond survey that was done in 2019. Thank you. Have a good night.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And the milfoil issue, possible remediation and treatment.
Good evening.
Yeah, I read it online. Anybody, does anybody get one need a copy?
Want to split one?
I remember it.
Let's take it. You had a chance to read it, Peter?
Yeah, I got it.
I do remember this report. It was pretty thorough. I did attend some of their online seminars as well, where they were discussing different ways, like a fountain to try to help,
Yeah.
keep the ducks away and aerate the water.
Right. Well, this has come up. The Conservation Commission has sent me. I'm vice chair now of the Conservation Commission, and we discussed it the other night at our August meeting. Some citizens have expressed concern about swimming there. They would like to swim there. on a survey that Jason Brennan and group did, Darrah Pond, I think, ranked fairly high, and people would like to see it come back as a recreation site, is why we're here, because recreation manages it.
I think if we go back to that other survey that was done of facilities 2 years ago for the CIP, NHRP did for us, I think Darrah Pond was very high back then
Yeah, I
also.
think so, yeah. So we have this 2019 survey. There are also other options. I've been talking to the state. First of all, let me explain. The milfoil that is there is native milfoil, lowly milfoil. It talks about it in the report. The state has studied it and they concur that it's native. So the state will not pay to do anything with it. In 2014, we did treat a third of the pond. We didn't keep up with it, so it's just pretty much run rampant. We can do, instead of a chemical treatment, we could rake it. We would need to apply to the Wetlands Bureau with a permit by notification, which is $400, and it's a little bit of a lengthy application. It only takes 10 days to approve if the Conservation Commission signs off on it. That's one option, at least to get the beach area a little cleaner than it is now, because the milfoil is right up to the shore now.
And how far out does it go? Does it go right to the bottom, right to
No,
the
it
deepest,
doesn't
or-
go into the deeper water, and they say the pond is 5 to 6 feet with a maximum depth of 24 feet in the middle.
Okay.
So it's not, I don't think it's too bad out in the middle. I haven't been out there lately, but it is all the way around the perimeter. So some people, one person has been raking it, letting it dry. I don't know if the state wants you to do that, but if you let it dry out and take it to a facility where they'll burn it, I don't know that there's a problem. So I've been talking to the person at the permitting, and she explained, how I get the form today and who the reviewer would be. So again, that's $400, and you have to do a Natural Heritage Bureau data check to check for rare and endangered species there. So the Conservation Commission wants to know, first of all, does the Recreation Commission want to try and bring this pond back to a recreation facility? It's the only area we have in town like it. It's a kettle hole pond. It doesn't have an inlet or outlet. It's glacier created. It's being drawn down by Pennachuck somewhat because it's in the same cone of influence as the 2 production wells over by the high school.
Oh, we need to charge Pennachuck.
Although Pennachuck,
give away all those rights.
yeah, we won't even get into that. So as I said, in 2014, they treated it with a product called Stingray. They say they have a new improved product now that the state is buying into. But as you can see by the 2019 study, it is pricey to do it. We're in budgeting season now, so is that something we want to look at? I haven't been able to get a hold of these people this week to see how much it's increased. I'm sure it has increased from 3 years ago. One thing, they have in the picture more than half of the pond treated. I have a little concern about that because you have to be careful of the dissolved oxygen. We don't want to create it so that the dissolved oxygen goes down and then get a fish kill. We certainly don't want that. I would want them to test for dissolved oxygen before and after treatment, if that's the way we decide to go. So there are some factors that we don't know yet, what it would cost to maintain it. I think that was a selectman issue.
So in 2019, we had a warrant article and we pulled it before it went to
That's right.
meeting. And the reason we pulled it was the last time we did it, we didn't keep up with it. This time, the way the warrant article was written, we were going to keep up with it over the next, I think it was 3 years. But the issue was we didn't know what the maintenance cost after the 3rd year was. And also, we didn't know what the Recreation Commission really wanted to do with the pond. Do you want it to be a frog pond? Do we ever want to get back to swimming in the pond and so forth? So we pulled the warrant article and we kind of sent it back to the Rec Commission to say, what do you really want to do with Darrah Pond?
Right.
And
That's what
it's
we
kind
need
of
to
sat since that point.
So that's the
big question.
Yeah, what's the intent, and then what's the ongoing cost? I know when you've total up the numbers back from 2019. It was the first initial fee was 9,800, and they recommended another algae treatment of 3,000, so it's about 12,800. That's the first year. What would it be after that? Is it a third of the 12? So is it 4 for 3 years, or is it? I thought it was like $3,000.
It was somewhere around
like
there. And then our
30,000.
question was, okay, if you did it for 3 years, what happens
Then
in year 4? Are you good for year 4, 5, and 6? What would the cost be in year 7? What is the maintenance cost to keep it up? And that's what we didn't know.
Right.
You
Is
have
this
to-
going to be something that we're going to constantly be chasing, just a third, and going around the pond forever?
And then not knowing what the rec commission wanted to do with the pond, we pulled it that year because we had some other warrants that were a little more pressing.
And I think the permit by notification, the $400 permit, I think that I read that was good for 5 years. And that I envision volunteers getting out there and raking at least the beach area and like 200 feet on either side of the beach area to try and maintain it. But the big question is, where do you want to go with this pond?
That is the $1 million question. And what are the towns? What's the intent of the townspeople? Would people start swimming in it? Is it just the milfoil preventing people from swimming? A lot of people are concerned.
There was
with
some chatter on
fence
Facebook
and-
that I finally had to answer and say that, it's, we used to swim there quite a bit when the kids were little. And, and the milfoil's gotten, you don't
Well,
want
I
to swim.
see vans pull up and kids run out with their tubes and
My granddaughter was in there a couple weeks ago. And she,
But you got to think, what a great place to go spend a
is.
day, right? You get the
Yeah.
playground there, you get the pavilion,
Yeah.
you're there. I mean, if you could swim there, family come, a bunch of small kids, you can make a day of it.
Yeah.
Really utilize.
is milfoil like weeds in your yard? If
It's
you
like- it's
stop
stringy.
treating it,
It's-
they
Yeah.
Oh.
come back. Is that it does? So there's no getting rid of it permanently.
No.
I don't think so.
And if you manage it, does it get cheaper to maintain?
Nothing gets cheaper these days.
I don't know. Like, if
I don't
you
know.
do these
That's the
3
co- I have
years,
to get
yeah,
hold
I
of
don't know enough
company.
about it to.
I would think if you treated the whole thing thoroughly
Over
the
3
first year,
years.
the following years would be.
You can't treat the whole thing at once. You have to do it gradually. You
Yeah,
can't-
their
you can't-
You used to offer
recommendation
swimming
was-
lessons there.
Yeah,
The rec commission used to offer swim lessons.
I believe Solitude's recommendation was a third.
right,
Yeah.
right.
And then they said maybe start treating it because they thought there was a brook or something that fed it. They didn't realize it was spring fed. But their recommendation was it'll be over 3 years before you could actually get it under control. You would never eradicate it completely.
And the cost of the $13,000 was for the
First
first
year.
year.
First year,
So yeah, if you're only doing a third of the pond, then it's
Yeah,
probably going to be the
so
same price each year.
$40,000 when it's all said and done over 3 years.
And then you're gonna have to
And then you got to maintain.
And you got to maintain it, and
Year 4.
that
just
was
start
that was
over
kind of the
again.
mystery.
Right.
What was the maintenance?
I wonder if they would come in, they're based out of Shrewsbury, if they would, at least, well, I could get, more information from them, and they might have to do another survey to see what's happening now, not to see how it's progressed.
Yeah, it definitely hasn't gotten better over the years.
No, but it did come out high on the CIP, like you said, the CIP and the survey that was done.
Came really high.
And I'm sure the cost isn't $13,000 anymore.
Right, I'm sure it isn't either.
Yeah, I think it'd be nice if it was swimmable again, really.
I mean, it's one of those things, if we get all the information, we can bring it back on a warrant article and let the citizens
Yeah, that's
decide
a
if they
good idea.
want to do it or not.
So
So-
how would that work? We'd put it as a warrant article to get to do it for the first year and then just add that.
I think
money
you
to
do a
the
warrant
budget?
article to do X amount this year, yes, year to get the whole thing done. So it'd be a 3-year.
All right, and then what? Add it into the Rex budget after that
We'd have to know what the maintenance is, and that's what you'd probably want to try to do is add it in.
within 3 years.
Can you do one article on the first year to cover 3 years? Can
I
you-
think
Can you
so.
bind the
Yeah, they
future
do
town
that.
meetings?
You can do it over a 3-year.
Okay.
And what you're doing is allocating X amount of dollars each year.
Yeah, to do a contract.
And the state
so.
won't help
we'd have a-
because it is
It's
native New
native.
Hampshire.
Native, yeah.
So I like the warrant article idea because my question is, what do people want? I don't know that I have a good sense of that because it has many
Yeah.
uses and there's a lot of fishing these days. But so there was a survey reference. There was a survey done.
There was a survey done for CIP 2020, 2 years ago.
I think so.
It was a, so I
think it was planning board was doing it from a facility standpoint. And we put in rec portion of it also, talking about the different rec and how the people could go out and rank it.
Yeah.
Do you have any
I might be able
idea
to dig
how,
it up.
do you have any idea how many people actually took that survey?
A
Was
lot
it
of people.
Like,
I
oh,
was shocked
was
at
it
how
like
much we
50
got,
or
yeah.
like 1,000, you know?
It was a good hunk of people that
I remember it.
rated everything. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'll try to find it and send it to everybody. I know I have it somewhere in my emails.
Because I think it was Darrah, pond itself. It was something about
Town
town
hall.
hall. I thought it was the parking lot.
Could have been parking lot, could have been there. There was a bunch of stuff because we were
Yeah.
trying to combine it back into the CIP at that time to find out where we wanted to spend money over the next 6 years.
Yeah.
And we figured we'd go out to the public and say what ranks high on you for you guys.
Yeah.
So I'll dig it up and send it to everybody. The output of that.
So if it was a warrant article, it would come from the Recreation Commission, I'm assuming.
Yeah. Because it's recreation commission.
But you could speak to it at the deliberative session to support it.
Because doesn't the state actually own the pond?
They own the water,
They own the water.
but they won't touch the native stuff. They've got enough trouble with variable milfoil all over the state. That's why they clean boats as they go in. They really check the boats over. And I'll get a hold of this company and find out what the costs are. I mean, you can't really do anything until we know the costs.
Yep. When do we have to have warrant articles in?
December. We have plenty of time.
So what's the will of the board? What's the discussion? Does everybody support this idea of pursuing eradicating milfoil or controlling milfoil?
I support putting a warrant article forward. Absolutely. Let the voters decide.
Yeah, correct.
But I think we need to have more information so it
Yeah,
doesn't
yeah.
get
Right.
pulled like that.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
So if we control the milfoil, what does anything else need to be done to make the pond suitable for whatever we want to make it suitable for?
That's the $1 million question. What else
I
is
think
it?
they said the water quality was good. They tested for visibility in the report.
Do we need
And,
to clean the beach? Is there?
Jay and I actually
Yeah,
raked
in the water
the
that
beach,
needs-
not in the water. We were away from the water, but we dragged the
Yeah.
beach. We picked up probably a 10-gallon bucket of fishing line
Yeah.
just by snagging it with the York rake.
Oh, wow.
Right.
And that made a huge difference.
With a new tractor?
Yep.
Good.
And
We'd probably have to do something different.
Yeah,
or
we-
similar in the water where people are going to
that's,
swim. Where they're gonna
let's not talk about this on public.
And, yeah.
But yeah, we'd have
Tractor
to.
go in the water? Oh.
And you can't rake the
That's the
stuff
next attachment.
because it breaks off and then it grows more. So they have a harvester they use at Massapequa Lake, like a steam wheel, a wheel.
Pulls it up.
I guess the only other thing I have questions. Sorry.
Do you know of any other towns in the state who've had similar issues with spring-fed pond or whatever we want to call it that have done this and done the 3-year thing? Like, do we know how other
I
towns
had a
have
call
fared
from, 2014, I had a call from an individual in the western part of the state that said, just be careful with the dissolved oxygen, and because you don't want to create a bunch of dead vegetation to eat up the oxygen.
Right.
I don't know of any other Robinson Pond, I think, does have a problem, but I don't know what they do over there.
Okay.
If they harvest it, they might harvest it over there, bigger pond.
Because the other issue is the geese. And that's where they're saying that you could treat the milfoil, but you still have to control the geese because that just pollutes it in a different fashion.
Yeah.
So we need to do something that,
Or I think that was that with the algae problem?
yes,
With the geese.
yes, with the geese.
I mean, during migration season, you're not going to keep the geese out of there.
The only thing I would want to learn more about is just other environmental impacts. So you mentioned, what it does to the oxygen levels, but you're using herbicide. I'd just be curious about other impacts that might have for other wildlife. And other, would residents around the area be concerned if Pencheck uses it for drinking water? Would we need to advise them on anything?
Well, they have to pull a permit. The company pulls a permit from the state, and there's no swimming for 24 hours. And then this new product is evidently better with the drinking, especially with the production wells being so close, is a better situation with drinking water.
Would there be anything that the local residents that about the water need to be aware of, or would it just not impact any other thing
No.
outside the water? No.
I don't know if they did a phosphate, speaking of houses that ring it, just see how much phosphate there was in there to make sure that we're not getting, leach field problems to the pond. I can't remember if they checked for that. Luckily, there aren't houses all the way around it. But no, I don't think there, not any other environmental problems with people because, like I said, they have to go through the state and this new product is supposedly better.
All right. So if you contact the company, ask them for an updated pricing.
Right.
What's the long-term cost to maintain? If they need to come out again and take a survey, whatever, let us know. I definitely would be interested in meeting with them. Then once we have that information, the rec supports it, then we will work on creating a warrant article.
Okay,
Then hopefully the townspeople support it and we can move forward with it.
okay. All righty. I'll let you know when I find out.
Joan, appreciate you coming in
Thank
tonight.
Thank you.
Thank
Thanks for
you.
your time.
You too.
Good night. All right. Security cameras for RMP and Jeff Lane, Mr. Chris Burns. So this is something we've asked Chris to investigate the amount of vandalism, some minor, some major, that's been going on is getting out of control. We're hoping to have the LPD come in and sit with us tonight to talk about what are our possible options. I do agree that right off the bat, security cameras could help. Would you like to talk about what you found, Chris?
Yeah. So, I guess off the bat, I know many towns, surrounding towns, do have cameras up around their public facilities and recreation fields. I've noticed them just through my line of work, but also, just being on facilities in other towns. So I think it is a worthwhile investment, especially with the amount of vandalism that we have. I believe that if we catch, 1 or 2 or 3 people, the word's going to spread pretty quick. It's going to really cut down significantly on the incidences that we've had. So I know that you'd asked about something that might be Wi-Fi, cellular, something that we can move around. I mean, we've already had issues with the game cameras. We've had, you could put up like a Ring camera or something like that, but it's not vandal resistant, so people are going to mess with that again. So I've gone to some manufacturers that I work with, and they were able to put together a pretty entry level system. But as far as the recorder goes, I mean, it's a local recorder, so all it really needs is power, and we have that in the snack shack there. So with a couple of cameras, and then they are professional grade, vandal resistant IR with night vision, wide angle cameras. So you'd be able to get a good view of the pavilion. You'd be able to get a good view of the back of the snack shack or out towards the playground if you wanted to, just to get a general idea of who's in the area at the time that something happens. And like I said, it's a local system, so it just needs power in the snack shack. It would record for about 30 days and store there. We'd have to go there to get video off of it. It wouldn't have remote capabilities because we don't have network out there. So if we had that, we could have that feature as well. But
Does that system have a network connection?
It does.
It does. Okay.
Yep. So yeah, I don't know what it would take to get a network connection out there, but that's probably a conversation I have with John Burnell. But so yeah, for about $1,650, you could have a pretty decent little commercial grade security system.
And would it be a NVR plus 2 cameras? And is it possible? Can we expand?
Yes.
Or is it just
Well,
a 2-port?
This particular machine does 4 channels, and it's got the power for the cameras built into it, so you don't need an additional switch.
Okay, so it's pure.
Yep. So yeah, it's not a bad little machine.
Would the range pick up if we put a camera by the basketball courts?
You'd have to wire out to it, or put
Hardwire.
or put a wireless device that still needs power. So yeah, you'd have to get something out there, whether it's solar or a hardwired power connection. That does increase the money significantly. With power, you're limited to 300 feet off of the machine. So yeah, if you wanted to hardwire something in
Cat 5, right? So you're 100
Cat 5,
meters.
Cat 6. Yeah. And then it's something I can install myself, so I'd be willing to do that. But
So the thought is, and I know Andy definitely agrees with me on this. I would think we'd want to get at least two, one for the snack shack at RMP and one for Jeff Lane. And then the thought is possibly expand, or if we start having issues, we could move it and just add cameras, and then possibly get a new NVR for Talent, because I think it still has all the cameras. I don't know how old the cameras are.
there are cameras up there. I believe it's one interior, one exterior. They're pretty old.
Pretty old. So
I think John Brunel runs that system. I don't know if it's tied into the towns or if it's just local, but
nothing.
There's nothing.
Nothing. Now
It's not working.
the NVR died,
oh, okay.
so it's probably too old to be compatible with the new system.
This
The
this
wiring is
particular,
compatible for PoE.
Yeah.
That would be one of the
I
hardest
don't know.
things.
If,
to
I don't
run
know if
on
it's
cable.
I
No,
don't
it
know if
might
that
be
one's
coax.
coax or if it's network.
Might be cool.
I'm not sure.
Probably cool.
Yeah. The last time I saw the camera images, it looked like it was pretty analog.
So these are all Ethernet, power over Ethernet cables, so you don't have to have coaxial or anything else.
Right. No.
That's good.
And the machine does come in a few other flavors. You could get an 8-channel machine if you wanted to.
Okay.
I think it might even have a 16-channel option for larger buildings, but they'd all be individual, separate systems because of the network or lack of network. But
I think it's a good idea.
I hate cameras, but I hate vandalism more.
Oh, yeah.
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 I'm
It's
I'm
just-
so
I'm sick
sick
of
of
Yeah.
trying to clean up stuff and
I haven't looked at the budget, Steve. How we doing on it?
We're hurting. I was hoping to show it tonight, but I've got the dongle and I don't know if that TV's working. So what we'd have to
Worked
do
last
is, oh, did it? We definitely do not have it in this year's budget. This year's budget between water, we're already over. Electricity, we're running level, but we're also going to see that increase. So we're probably going to be tight on that. And then propane, we're going to run over as well. So the funds that we do have, like the custodial has been out. So we have money in there, and then building maintenance. But I think those two funds are going to be absorbed to support water, electric, and make up the difference. The rest of it is, we definitely don't have the money to support it. What we could do is take it from the revolving rec, which has the rec revolving, which is about $19,000. That's typically earmarked for softball. I think pickleball has an account in there. There's, I think, 3 or 4 different accounts, but there is money in there. I know when we did the Chaos and Kindness concert, there was about $3,000 put in there. So if it's, would you say 1650?
1550.
30.
1645.99.
So about 30,
Less than 2,000.
no, 2. We
Yeah,
want
If you
2.
wanted 2 systems,
Two
yeah.
holes.
But we could start with one though, just to get it under
Well,
this year.
one issue we just had is brand new nets at Jeff Lane.
Yep.
About what, $10,000?
18.
Well, it's 18 to put it in.
Put it
with
all in.
Installation, so we don't know what the net cost.
What
would
it
be, but-
essentially looks like happened is somebody turned the crank and turned the crank and turned the crank until it snapped.
Yep.
And snapped the eye hook on the other side. And when it did, I think it like rubber band and
Whole thing
tore
was
the whole
exploded.
net underneath and put a giant hole in the side of the net. And I repaired everything else, but
At Jeff Lane, there is power in the shed.
Yeah.
There's a new shed, there's plenty of power, and it would be a good location. So my thought would let's do 2, Jeff Lane, the snack shack. Eventually we could expand to Roy Memorial, and as we go along. I don't think we have power in it. Well, we do in Corning.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, we have
that's,
power at all of it.
so would you say 1650? So
50. Yeah.
So about 3,300, 3,400 for 2 setups. Like I said, the rec revolving account definitely has the money in there. I know 3,000 of it I put in from the Chaos and Kindness. Plus, there's been other donations that's came in. It is at our discretion on how we want to use that money.
Yeah.
So we could decide to pull it from there and use that money And I think would be the best decision in order to try to curb some of this.
It's almost better to do it sooner than later because
I would do it now.
vandalism has gone sky high at the parks. I've never remembered it being this bad.
And some of it's minor vandalism, but it's still vandalism, and it just seems to
I
be
mean, the
increasing.
picnic table was ripped apart. It's not just the Sharpie markers and the paint and
Kids are climbing, getting on top of the snack shack, sitting on the ridge of it. It's just out of control down there right now.
yeah, somebody painted on top of it. I did not climb up to clean it,
So
but
now,
maybe another
So
day.
are we gonna get the right coverage with 2 cameras down at the pavilion snack shack?
I would say
So
to start.
My thought is to start with it. You aim one at the pavilion, you aim one at the playground or along the back of the snack shack. Problem with that building is that, the front and the back, the roof level is low. So even though they're vandal resistant cameras, I mean, people could still spray paint.
But
or
you're gonna
whatever,
see-
You're gonna see it happen.
Who's doing it?
Yeah. And it would
Could you
take a
put it
lot of
on,
work to get
Could we
on
put it
top
on
of
a
the
pole
pavilion
either higher?
and aim it towards the playground?
You'd have to run a wire to it. Yeah. Whether you
Yeah.
go in the air or on the ground, get somebody to trench it and put some conduit in.
That's not hard.
Or we could put a pole on the snack shack,
Yeah.
like a mass.
Yeah.
Put it up on that, get it up high.
I don't want it to go too high because you can't see into the.
Yeah, because you're not going to see down low enough.
Then you lose the resolution. This is too far away.
I mean, it's 5 megapixel cameras, so they're
Pretty good.
they're
Quality.
pretty clear.
it'll definitely be a deterrent.
Mhm.
And if it happens frequently, is it PTZ? Can we zoom in?
It's not a manual. It's not a manual PTZ. You can digitally zoom
Okay.
after the fact.
So it might get a little pixelized, but we just put new security. I just put new security cameras in work, and some of them were, I can click on a license plate in the other parking lot, and it'll zoom over, and I can get a clear picture of a license plate.
But these
So-
aren't network connected anyway. And you can't.
Right.
Well, you can still zoom in.
Well, yeah,
No, I'm saying
yeah,
if
absolutely.
say we have an issue where we can't identify it, but the kids aren't afraid of the camera, we could zoom in a little bit more using the mechanical zoom to get a better picture. Because as you zoom in with
They're
digital,
varifocal
it
cameras.
pixelizes pretty
They're
quick.
varifocal cameras, so we could adjust that.
We
field
could
of view
adjust
if we
it.
needed to, and that's ideally what you would do anyway during installation is set it up, get a hold of the view, narrow it down how you need it.
Yeah. But if it so it's adjustable. So if we do have an issue where we can't identify somebody, we can't go back and then tweak it. And then if it happens again,
Well, you catch 1 or 2 people, and if they have to do some community service and the police are involved, you're going to start seeing the change, and word will spread quickly.
no,
So do we have a motion on the floor?
not yet.
Can
But
we
legal
make one?
aspect will be covered. As
Yeah,
long as we,
there's no issue with putting them up. You don't have to advertise that they're up. You
okay.
don't need to put signage up. You
Okay.
can if you want. It's up to you. You can't or you shouldn't put signage up if you didn't have them. That's where the
Right.
liability comes in.
Okay.
Fine.
All right. Any other discussion? I know we're supposed to make a motion to discuss,
Yeah.
but we seem to discuss first. Any other discussion? All right. So I'll entertain a motion to pursue the purchase of 2 NVR security camera systems with 2 cameras each to be placed at Jeff Lane and Roy Memorial Park, not to exceed 3,500, and the funds will come from the revolving rec account.
Just take a quick look at the purchasing policy because we may want to do it as 2 different purchases and we can keep it at your level,
I think mine's 5.
500,
Wow.
5,000. So yeah, all right, good. I don't have to look at it if you think it's 5.
So we do 35 safely.
Yeah, you'll be fine then if it's 5,000. The department head, because you'd be the department head for recreation.
Yep.
As long as you can do it.
You have a second?
A second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Nays? Abstained?
Aye.
Motion carries 6-0-1.
Thanks for doing that research.
Yeah, thanks.
Appreciate it.
So,
And I will gladly help you. Do any
I wouldn't trust
installation.
him. I don't trust him.
I'll hold the ladder.
Been there before.
All right. Thank you, Chris. Appreciate that. Construction of marquees at Roy Memorial Park and Sawmill. Once again, Mr. Chris.
Oh yeah, so I just had a thought with all the events that we have been doing, the town has been doing at these fields, whether it's youth sports or concerts or anything like that. I mean, I know there's the Marquee here, and then I know the one at the high school, but other than that, there's nothing that we control for these events. I thought it'd be nice if we could get maybe some townspeople or maybe even the Boy Scouts to help us build some marquees so we can advertise what we got going on, what we're doing. Like we just had our softball tryout, so it would have been nice to put something up on the sign for that. Whatever's going on in town. And I figured that Roy Memorial and Sawmill are probably the two ideal spots, two biggest locations, two most useful locations. They're very visible from the main roads. So I just thought it'd be a good idea to explore it at least.
But didn't we have a marquee underneath the sign at War Memorial at one point?
I think we did.
I think it's over there. There's
Yes,
one.
we did.
Yes, we
I
did.
remember all the letters and numbers.
It may have fallen over. I
Yeah,
have
it
no
was,
idea.
But I think they replaced it with
It's
the new.
been
Just the
rebuilt,
sign
yeah.
itself.
It got vandalized.
Did it. Build one up higher with the pole. Use the pole. Put the letters up.
Yeah, I think there was like a plexiglass cover on it, and that got broken, ripped off, and then the letters walked away.
Do we have a sign at Sawmill out front?
There's a sign.
Sign about
Yeah,
Sawmill.
Sawmill Park, or
Trying to
Litchfield
think.
Park at Sawmill Brook, yeah.
Okay, yeah, I do remember seeing it. I'm trying to think. Okay, I don't think I remember seeing a sign when I drove by there, but
You could put the movable letters on below it, but
Yeah,
It's
then
the
they're
same
low and
issue.
people.
It's
mess
tough
up.
because they're below it. It's easy for someone to get at.
I think it's a good idea, and I definitely it would be something I would be interested in helping. So let's come up with some prices, and we'll see what we can do.
I'd recommend going to the planning board and making sure we fall within the master plan of signage in the town. Because we do have length by width by height and what you can actually put out there.
interesting.
Mhm.
Oh,
Now, it usually comes down when an organization or a new company wants to put it in. I mean, we've never, I don't think from a rec standpoint, when we put up the one at John Bryant, we put up the one at Jeff Lane. I don't think we think we just built them and put them up.
But the Sawmill one, same thing.
Same thing was built and put up, but
well,
Yeah.
we take the Pat Jewett approach.
Yes.
sort of like how talent could paint it.
Yep.
Do it, don't ask. Don't tell, don't ask. All right, yeah, I'll reach out to the planning board and just find out what the parameters we have to play within. The last one is any other discussion on that? Everybody agree, support?
We're talking signs though. I think I just talked in passing with a couple people about maybe having some signs made at the different parks that we can have a QR code that goes right to our
Yeah, thanks.
email if somebody sees vandalism. And I had spoken with the police department after going down to Darrah, it seemed like twice a week cleaning stuff up. And, they had suggested that that people there do not approach people themselves if they see something happening or they feel there's an unsafe situation, call the police department and have the police department's phone number nice and big right there. And if we have the QR code for an email, nobody has to leave the park and say, oh, I'll look it up when I get home. And then I forgot. You just snap on it and it'll say, Jason's been working on it for
Yeah, so
uh,
Jason on
conservation.
Conservation has been working with John Brunell on it. It's a Google site. It's a QR code. It'll be just a placard that says, welcome to Conservation.
park.
You have an issue or something to report, what have you, scan this and it brings up an application on your phone or whatever. And you can fill out, it's a drop down, so you can select whatever park it's at. You can put some notes about what the issue is. You can select down a predetermined field of what the issue is. Requirement is to put in an email and I think a phone number possibly. So I was talking to Jay about it, and we could do it on the rec, the same thing. So it'll be conservation and recreation. So as people find issues or have problems or need to get a hold of us, they can fill it out, once they submit it, it gets emailed to the recreation. So we get it almost immediately.
Immediately.
My thought is, like the other day, the gate was locked and they couldn't get in to service the porta potties. Well, if they scan it, they can
Right.
message
It's
us.
right there.
We pretty much all of us have email on the phone. We'll get it instantly, and I'm sure somebody will be able to respond and say, "Hey, this is a code," or we don't need this, or what have you. The other day, I got a call that one of the porta potties were knocked over. They could have just scanned it, sent it to us. We would have known
One of us would have seen it,
immediately. I think it's a great idea, and then it also allows us to have a background. It's an Excel spreadsheet, I believe, that allows us to track everything that's been going on and see any reoccurring events.
Yeah, and I think we should have the police phone number there.
Yeah.
I mean, our police can get there quicker than a 911 if it's not, we don't want them to call 911 if somebody's spray painting, just, there's the police number, call it right there, they'll be there.
I think it's a
right
great,
away.
and everybody
Have
nowadays
that.
has a camera on their phone, and so
Yeah.
once you hold it up, you get the QR code.
But that's just, we can discuss it at the next meeting, but I think it would be good to have at our parks. And then we have a time frame too of when something vandalism happened or something happened. And it's
Great
right
idea.
at people's fingertips. They don't have to go search for anything.
Did you say they're doing new signs for all this, or?
Just
Yeah,
small-
small metal signs.
We could
Like,
get
so
them
you could-
made. Yeah.
I mean,
Right.
honestly, it's like we have this signs. Like, couldn't you just get like one of those like adhesive stickers, like a really like
Yeah.
just put it on the signs with
Yeah,
the code,
yeah.
like the amount that.
Yeah, it's not like a big metal sign.
Right. No,
It's-
but I mean,
but-
I mean, but
Right.
even that, it's
Right,
like
yeah.
you mean we're talking about making signs where we could make labels and put them on existing signs. There's room on
Yeah.
plenty of existing signs and just use that.
Right.
And it's the amount of
Yeah,
money you
big
would probably
signboard.
save.
Yeah.
Just need
Well,
to
it's just
talk-
Could be a
having
metal
something
sticker,
out
just
there
poof.
that
I like that idea
is
because
easy for people to
I hate
access.
seeing paper and plastic signs all over parks. I'd rather see a decal or a sticker that is fixed and adhered to it and it looks cleaner. And
Yeah, I mean, I
You could stick them right on the kiosks at some of the parks.
Stick them
That's what
on
they're for.
the snack shacks and the town hall doors.
I like it. One thing I did too is I don't know if anybody watches the planning board. I'm a bit of a geek. I watch all these meetings. Dr. Kim Queenan is pursuing a grant to complete the sidewalk from LMS to Albuquerque on Pinecrest. She was looking for support from the schools and as well as the recreation. So she wrote up a letter and I signed it the other day for us on August 4th. And what it is if we get it from the state, they'll come in and help or give us the money to build a sidewalk that will allow us to connect Albuquerque all the way down to LMS, which will open up. Because if you think about it, a lot of the kids will ride their bike down there, but it's dangerous. So parents don't let them. So if there's a sidewalk, they can ride their bikes to the practices at GMS, LMS. Get down to LMS, you can take a left and hit Sawmill on the Brickyard. So to me, the grant is a nice, easy addition. Hopefully we get it. That'll connect all of our parks and our schools.
And we gave you kudos last night, Steve.
You did?
We did.
I must have went to bed.
Could that fall into your livable communities?
Yeah, it would, but I did present at the Board of Selectmen, but I haven't gone back because there's been a lot of issues that need to be addressed
Thank you.
right away. So I've kind of backed off on that since that wasn't as pressing as some other things they've been having to deal with. So we'll let them kind of settle down and then I'll approach them.
It's a budget review time.
so February.
February. Budget review time. I spoke with Karen because Troy left us, he abandoned us, about our budget. The 3 line items that I recommended that we increase are the ones that we're hurting on: water, electric, and propane. I don't know why the water usage at Talent has skyrocketed.
Is it
it
still
still?
going?
It's the price is just the meter's
It
not
can't
on.
be.
We turned it off.
Yeah.
But we overspent our water budget.
For the year
2,200.
already?
Have you seen a water bill recently since we turned it off?
No, I have not.
$2,200
Per
you
year.
spent
Just
that
for
place?
Talent. There's
How?
3 toilets, 2 sinks, and 2 urinals.
There's no possible way.
The only thing I
You
could
have to
think of
turn them
is
all on
maybe our
time.
old meter was broken, and when it cracked, they put a new meter in. I took a 5-gallon bucket
Went down to the
and
flow,
I
yeah.
tested it, and it seemed accurate. And then I went down, shut the meter off, went back 24 hours later, and the meter did not move. Well, I shut the water off, and the meter did not move. I thought, well, maybe the pipe underneath the stage was leaking,
Yeah.
but nothing.
Someone connected a hose, used it to fill a pool.
Somebody connected the hose and used it to fill the shed. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
So our budget next year, I'm proposing that I propose that we increase those 3 line items. Propane we overspent because the heating system got knocked out of place last year. And electricity, we're looking at a ridiculous increase.
And we need to increase building maintenance too, to either fix that shed that's over there or tear it down, because somebody's
Shed.
the
I
one
think
to
we
the
look at
right
taking the
town
old
hall.
snack shack and moving it over there.
Oh,
It's fine. We
You know
gotta
what I
get
mean?
in there.
Give us a reason to open it up and see what's in it.
Yes.
But get rid of one shed and move another one over. I mean, that just sits there. It's protected.
Yeah, it's probably in better shape than
It doesn't have a hole in the roof.
or the floor. It hasn't been recently washed like the other one though.
Is there any electricity coming out of it? Like there isn't a freezer full of Choco Tacos or?
I don't know what we're gonna find when we open that up.
Old business for profit fees, Mr. Peter Ames.
Yes, just a quick update, and when we can keep this moving ahead. So I offered to take some next steps at our last meeting. So I'd not gotten very far with the school yet, so I need to do a bit more work on that one, finding out how they approach it. But did get some clarity on the insurance issue. So as I talked about earlier tonight, it's really when we add a fee is when we kind of get into a different territory. So that's kind of the trigger for this. Reached out to our carrier, and they advised that our coverage with Primex would not change if we charge a fee. That charging a fee does not impact the insurance aspect of our current policy. The issue that we do need to be careful of is that when we do charge a fee for profit, it could eliminate the general immunity waiver for recreation use. So right now, there's a kind of a blanket coverage immunity for people walking across the fields and tripping over and falling down, right? So that if there's something obviously negligent that we didn't maintain a generally safe space, then yeah, it's a problem. But otherwise, we're covered for just incidental things. But if we charge a fee and something happens at the event, or someone wants to come at the vendor or us, then that could be the area. So what they advise, kind of speaks to number one, just making sure that fields are being kept up and used appropriately, as for common sense safety. And I think the other way to deal with it was just, the insurance binders that we ask from the organizations that have the events. So we might want to look into asking for some additional language or something along those lines. So I thought it was generally good news that it didn't, waive our insurance policy or create a huge issue there. It just kind of speaks to how we have to be kind of good stewards of the properties and, kind of make sure we're covered on being clear with whoever's using them, what we need from them in their insurance.
There was one that I remember the email I got from, I think, Primex. They recommended that we have, if you look at our fields and facility request, there is a clause in there that waives us, but they recommend that maybe we take another look at that and make it clear and have everyone who uses, organizations, make sure they sign that and release us.
Okay.
But yeah, our facilities and field request does have that in there, but I don't think anybody really reads it. They just kind of wave, glance over it and sign it.
Gotcha.
Yeah. All right, nice. So moving forward, you and I will work together. We'll work on modifying the bylaws, which is pretty easy to do. And we'll make sure that we add in all these notes so that we are cleared. And then we'll add the priority level, or I guess you could say priority level at the bottom of it for profits.
Yep.
So that in these situations, when people come in, we do have a right to say yes or no.
Yep. And now, next time, hopefully I'll be back with more information about the schools. If there's anything we can do to align with the way they approach it, it's probably helpful.
I couldn't find theirs online or printed anywhere. It gave you had to email it. So I knew that when I was looking at other towns and what the school does, they must have someone at the school who's in charge of the facility use, and they would charge a fee, but they don't post what it is. So you probably have to email that
Yeah, I would
person and
think the
say,
AD
how
would
do
be-
you
Yeah.
do it? But I couldn't find anything in print for it. You have to fill out your form and email it, and then I guess they make that decision on where you fall, or I don't know if it's different from.
Yeah.
every
Peter,
group.
Michelle Flynn may give you good direction on where to go.
So what was that? Sorry.
Michelle Flynn might be able to
Michelle.
give you good direction at the school.
That's true.
She kind of knows the inner workings and where everything is.
Okay, thank you.
Anything else on that one?
Nope, that's all I got for now.
Thank you, Peter. LPD notified us the other day that they're going to postpone the September 10th, 2022 Litchfield Fire and Police and Fire 5K and 10K. A new date has not been provided. And when and if they decide to start it up again, we of course will support it. But at this time, the Litchfield Police Fire and 10K is postponed.
That's too bad. I always enjoy it.
Flying high dog event that was sponsored by Aaron Cutler Memorial Library and held at Sawmill. Had a great turnout, over 275 participants. I heard a lot of people went and said it was a great time. They really enjoyed it. So that was.
I did email them and ask them for some pictures to put on our
Yeah,
social media pages. But that's a good turnout.
yeah. We drove around. We're in COVID protocol, so we couldn't get out. But I went down and
Yeah.
checked it out. I kept the windows up. So I yelled at Chris. And then we also have to discuss what do we want to do. We start thinking about this come warrant article time is tennis courts and floor at Talent. We obviously do not have that in our budget and probably never will. It would probably take a warrant article. So that'll be another one that we
In milfoil.
in milfoil. Yeah. So that's something we'd have to discuss going forward.
So I know I keep asking about the I just lost my train of thought. The funds, the
Impact fees.
impact fees. Yeah. But it seems like everybody's going in circles on impact fees and what.
You need to be expanded use, or new.
So-
You're building something new for expanded.
Because of
Right.
growth in the community.
Right.
Yes. So we had talked about that for pickleball.
Mhm.
Or adding the tennis court, because I think
Correct.
you
We're
said
adding,
that
yes,
I think
tennis
there's,
court
right now,
with
there's
pickleball.
one earmarked that could be added because of growth.
Do we have
One
room at
tennis
Darrah?
court.
Tennis court, and usually when you build a tennis court, you build them in pairs.
Right.
So,
So one pair.
No, we,
No.
one court.
but could you do one
From what I was told
court
before,
and
Troy, about we had
one,
enough of one
and,
court.
what do you get, 4 pickleball courts? I mean, pickleball is the fastest growing sport in the nation. It's huge. I mean, it really is. It's grown a lot in this town.
4 pickleball courts on 1 tennis court.
Yeah. And it seems that's a rep.
Or why not just one pickleball area? Because
Yeah.
that's expansion.
Yep.
Make it their own.
But if you
Yeah,
have
yeah,
to-
that's what I was just trying to figure out, like how many pickleball courts will fit on 1 tennis court.
4.
Thing that could
Four.
double as an
Four.
ice rink in the
On
winter.
that size, 4.
4.
Dual use.
But
Please.
depending how they lay out, if you have to move one of the existing tennis courts or 2 of them in order to accommodate the tennis courts, you can rebuild those tennis
Is that
courts
covered
with
in
the
the
funds.
impact fees?
It is. Look at
Judy
this.
said
That's
they-
how we got the
how
softball
they get the
complex.
softball
I was
done.
involved
That's
back
true.
then. One of the fields had to be moved to put in the new field for softball growth. And so that field that had to be moved had to be rebuilt. And that's why only 2 of the 3 fields have the dugouts.
So how do you go about you? Because obviously you used it for Sawmill, right? When
Impact
Sawmill-
fees, yeah.
Yeah.
But that was
So-
before I was on this board, so I
Yeah.
wasn't the one.
So does somebody have to come forth with a proposal? Like, we'd like to do this, and
Yep.
then you have the engineering, then you have the.
You have to go and what is your plan? Then you have to get a cost for it. And they have to come to the Board of Selectmen, and we're the only ones that can release impact fees. Because the fair is if we release it for a wrong use and we get
Right.
challenged by the builders
Yeah.
and they win, we as a town need to pay it back.
to the builders.
pay the builders back, because these impact fees come from builders when they build within the town,
Yep.
and they're used for growth within the community. And there's certain ways you can and cannot use them.
Are they in escrow account somewhere?
Yeah.
But they
And after
also,
so many years, if you don't
But
consume
you
it,
can
they
cap.
fall out and they go back to the
If you
builder.
cap, the money goes back to the
Goes back
builder,
to-
not to the town.
percentages are split up. So I think the rec has like $136,000 or something. But there's a time frame, and if you don't use it by a certain
It goes
point,
back.
it
Well, we
goes
better
back to
figure
the-
out when that time frame is because
And if we go to Karen, she can give us a breakdown
I
of when
think
they
we
all
need to.
fall off.
So I'm willing to look into that. I just need to know if
Yeah,
everybody's
yeah,
okay with that.
100%.
Who
Yeah.
do I
Contact,
talk to
start off with
first?
contacting Karen.
Karen White?
Ask her for a current impact fee for the rec, and including the
whole schedule.
expiration time.
Yeah.
She'll send you it all in one spreadsheet.
And right now, the CIP is going back through all of the impact fees, and Nashua Regional Planning Commission is helping them with the structure.
So now you can get by it because the library managed to persuade the lawyers to see it their way, and they're building the pavilion with it.
Yep, we rejected it, and then they had a good argument, and legal basically came back and said they agreed with them.
And there was a lovely lady lawyer in town that helped it.
Did a wonderful job.
So we might want to reach out
But
to
I
her as
can't,
well.
I can't see using that money, putting in some pickleball courts that we
We don't
don't
have.
really have. And yet the program has really grown in Litchfield.
To me, it sounds
And-
like it's a
And I
win-win. If
think
you
they're
can only
also
get one
good to
tennis court,
they're good to the town. They take care of things. They don't leave the lights on. They make a donation to recreation.
the only
I
complaint
know
I
a
just
lot
don't
of
know how a
people-
builder can
Noise.
come back on something.
I also know a lot of people in town that are starting to play pickleball that
Yeah.
aren't affiliated with that group. You
Mhm.
know, I mean, I think there's more than just them that would want to play.
and there's plenty of land at Sawmill. If that's where we decide to play, I guess that's where it would have to go, right?
Yeah,
Because it's earmarked
maybe at
for something.
Sawmill. I know Jason did a draw out based on where they could fit without impacting any way.
Well, wasn't there a
lands or
phase 2
whatever.
plan that was drawn up at one time too, that's back in the plan room somewhere?
Somewhere that with a dog park somewhere around there,
Yep.
and then a playground
Playground would be
in
nice
that
there
area
too.
where like where the wall is, like when you come down the parking lot, right there to the left, that area behind the fence.
So is that all rec property from basically the tennis court, that whole section of woods down to the?
Yeah, there's a fence there. You can the chain link fence is the side of the thing. Is the side of the property.
There's a lot of town property there.
I didn't know there was a chain link fence back there.
That goes
Me
back
neither.
to the highway department stuff.
Yep, it goes all the way back to the highway department, so there's
Yeah,
fire
yeah, I
access
knew
into
that.
the back. Then there's more land to the right that town owns, and there's a private person that owns another parcel that's kind of landlocked right there. Then there's another parcel that connects to that.
So there's plenty of space even around the
Yes.
tennis courts for a pickleball
Yep.
court or whatever.
And that's what phase 2 is shown on the plans that are in the
Yeah.
plan room.
All right, so I will touch base with Karen and see where it
Yeah,
goes and what I
try to
can
get
do from
access
there.
to the
Try to
plans, see
make
if
sense of it.
somebody, go see Kevin Lynch, I bet he could find the plans.
He's probably the one that knows exactly where they are.
Okay,
Okay,
All right, I will
we're
do
back
that.
on we're out of our summer schedule, so our.
I wasn't sure.
We resume our bi-monthly meetings. Our next meeting will be August 23rd, 2022 at 7 PM. Anything else people would like to bring up?
I think August is still summer.
Yeah, it shouldn't start till
You know,
September.
one thing I think I would like to address, maybe going into the new year, because it gives us a little time, is maybe having dates 3 or 4 times a year that our rec sports teams and other groups that want to use our fields, like try to, whoever wants to use the soccer fields for soccer, get them in by a certain date, and we just, so every single meeting, we're probably not having to spend on scheduling.
I've always
I don't
been
know
a
if that
fan
was-
of, if you're in session, you should at least show up once.
Yep.
And I know in the past, there's always been a representative from one of the leagues sitting on the commission, so it's kind of been, that's
Yeah.
been,
No,
but we do have some that, like flag football,
Right.
I don't think anybody's sitting here for that.
No.
Lacrosse.
Lacrosse, So there are some sports that we don't, but I think it'd be good to have
I
somebody.
agree.
during
Show up once.
session or-
The only thing with scheduling quarterly is basically we're going to take up one meeting. We're going to take up an
Yeah.
hour of going hour plus of field requests and then have to do our regular business. Where at least now, if they come in little by little, it's only a small portion of what we're talking about.
So that's what I mean. We could make them come right as the season's starting, right? Come in and talk to us.
That's
Yeah,
what I was
or-
saying,
or
like, you
even-
know,
I'd like it
month
before,
before.
so like Mike was
Yeah.
saying, at least 3 weeks before, if
Yeah.
not more, so that we can at least start blocking time off or get an idea, so that when people come in, we have it booked out through the summer, because it's not going to change drastically every year, right? Softball's pretty consistent.
it's not as bad as it was when I first joined, and there was wrestling asking for time and all these sports I didn't even know we had in town.
Strongly encourage someone from the organization to attend at least one of our first meeting when they do the request. If they can't, then at least a second, because it makes it difficult to discuss what is going on.
Because in 2 months, it's going to be the plethora of requests for Talent Hall for the winter.
All right.
One other real quick thing. Field maintenance RFP. We always kind of drop the ball on that. I feel like, and then we're rushing at the end.
Yep.
I will revise it and send out a draft for the next meeting.
And while we're talking about that, has anybody gone back to make sure the company's actually doing what's in the RFP that they signed? I just look at the fields. I know we're in a bad drought this year, but there's clover. There's things that we never saw before. Our soil samples been taken. Are they doing the amendments we're supposed to have been done? I mean, have we done any
I have
checks and
not seen
balances?
any reports from them, even including soil samples. I would say the same thing. By my eye, I could see that they're definitely giving the fields attention. I don't know if they're treating everything the way it should be treated or what, but I know they're definitely doing a great job at cutting and mowing and keeping things clean.
Correct. That part I think is good, but I'm thinking about the amendments. Are they
Right.
changing the watering cycles? Because some of the fields are really burnt out. And when I checked the one down at Darrah, it was only on for 20 minutes once a day.
My lawn is very burnt out.
Oh, I know.
People who irrigate with wells,
I
their
know.
lawns are burnt.
Done.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they don't spend $80,000 a year to maintain it either.
Yeah, and it's part of the contract, and history has shown that sometimes things don't get done. So, I think we should do our due diligence and spot check, especially if we want to entertain them for the next year. Did they do what they were supposed to this year? Right. But I do agree with you from a cutting standpoint, trimming, picking up clippings.
The areas around, like I know every time I go down to Jeff Lane, it's immaculate over. They're even doing over at the parking lot and at Corning. They're doing a great job in those surrounding areas. Sawmill looks really good. That center area,
cutting and
they're doing
trimming
the
phenomenal.
edges.
Yep.
So
Do you want to reach out to Glenn or?
Yeah.
I will?
Yeah.
Are you comfortable with that?
Yeah.
Yep. Just asking for. I believe in the contract we did ask for a soil sample.
let me look at the contract first and make sure
Yeah.
that we just see if there's anything that they owe us. And
Yeah.
I think they need to send us some stuff for our records anyway, like what amendments they have made to the soil, because we have to keep that on file.
And obviously, Royal Memorial Park would be the benchmark, because that was blown up 2 years ago, so it should be pretty clean field.
Right now, the only places that are green is with the
Where the
sprinkler
sprinkler
heads.
heads are.
6 feet around the sprinkler.
No, not even that. It's about this big, and that's it.
It's leakage.
And we already knew there's not enough water being thrown in that field. So
All right, thank
Did
you.
they figure out what was going on with that head that was stuck?
No.
The one that I called you on the other day?
What did?
I forgot to ask. I can send it over to him.
somebody else told me they went down there and there was a head that was on,
That's what.
then it turned off. It was you telling me that it went back on again?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, it was you.
I stomped on it and it went down and then came right back up, and it was only spraying like maybe 6 or 8 feet. It wasn't spraying very hard. It was the only head going.
So with that, probably the valve is. I
I mean,
mean,
it was
how
the
can
valve,
it
but
be
you
getting
figured more than
water?
one head would go up, right? Because
Yeah.
It'd be more than one head on the zone.
All right. Anything else?
Nope.
We'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor,
You guys
please
have done
signify by
awesome
saying
tonight.
aye.
Aye.
Ayes, abstain, motion carries 7-0-0. Thank you,
I'm
Victor.
hungry.